Hi, my name's Don the Pleb, and while this isn't the usual content that we put out on this channel, we are going to be away for about a week, so I figured I would keep up some content for you guys while we were away. With that said, let's get back to the Fabians. In the first video, I said that they had won the discussion, that they really had truly accomplished their goals, and in this video, I'd like to talk about just how true that is and to what depths. I previously mentioned that you see people openly capitalistic, according to them, saying that they are definitively not socialists and advocating for Fabian socialism. And while that's true, the depths of that are almost unimaginable. You see people arguing that the Nordic model is definitively not socialism because they have a market. Well, yes, of course they have a market, but by that definition, Soviet Russia had a market. It was a black market, but it was there. And so, is there no true communism then? I know I will be accused of using the one drop rule or saying there's no true capitalism or something like that. But this was a thing that we all knew back in the 90s and even the 80s. We called them mixed economies. What was the mixture? I mean, it was a mixture between capitalism and socialism. We knew this, and we have abandoned even that premise. Now it's not a mixed economy, it is a capitalist economy because there is a market somewhere. This idea is so ingrained in so many people's mind that even the most ridiculous of right wing individuals anywhere that holds power in the world is currently, probably as this video airs, telling you that they will save your Social Security, they will repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act, they will save the NHS, they will go forth and give all of the monies to public education, they will make sure that the poorest among us are taken care of. These people are arguing for Fabian socialism. They have no idea that that's what they're doing, as the Fabians requested. But even worse than that, anyone who argues against any of this is immediately called an ANCAP. That's just how it is. Oh, you're one of those people who doesn't want a government. That's not what anyone said. But it's easier to dismiss. And just as the Fabians had hoped, we would dismiss the idea that the government should not do these things. We would dismiss the idea that private charity was a good idea and the welfare state was bad. We would hold these things close to our heart and consider them a tradition that must be upheld. This is so true that basically any political commentator who is not an ANCAP will tell you that, oh, that's not socialism. They'll even defend it. And they'll defend it with every fiber of their being. They will come down and tell you how great it is. They'll give you a sob story about how it saved something at some point. They won't care that that could have been done by private means. They will hold it as the truth that cannot be challenged. This was yet another hope of the Fabians, that eventually we would hold so dear these topics that it would be outside of the conversation to touch them. That we, while they didn't, as far as I know, reference the Overton window at any point, that we would remove these ideas from the Overton window so much that you were a crazy fool. You were not permitted in discussion. And that is exactly what we find. To the point that basically, no matter who it is that you listen to here on YouTube, other than me and ANCAPs, they will tell you in incredible detail how, well, but we have a market, but some majority of things are in a free market. They are not very interested in the fact that these markets are not free. They make excuses for these sorts of things. This kind of, well, I understand that the government controls every single thing that happens in this market, but it's a free market kind of arguments, of which there are myriads. And none of those people are going to be very interested in hearing that these are indeed socialist principles and policies, while lots of the control being handed over to the government through regulation was much more of a fascist idea than a Fabian idea. There is a reality that we need to get to that post the Second World War, for certain, though I would argue at least since the turn of the 20th century, the only argument we've been having as a society is between fascism, yes, I know, stop, pause, something, something, Nazis. No, fascism, the idea that we would get people into the government, the idea that they would have this sort of control over the lives of everyone, and that the government would be there for the people in the method that they prescribed. Between them, the Fabians, and the radical revolutionary socialists. And honestly, you can watch this play out in all of the recent elections. You can see Boris Johnson argue for any number of socialist policies under the Fabian method. That, well, we're just going to do all of these things because the government should do all of these things. And that the government owning the means of production is a great thing. And we're conservative, so we're definitely not socialist. And then you can see Corbyn over there with his radical revolutionary ideas about how there's going to be a revolution. The same thing's going on with Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders. I understand that that statement is going to make me incredibly unpopular, but it is true. You can also see the arguments of the more Fabianized on the stage with Bernie saying, well, we can't seize the means of production of everything, but some things would be good. Why don't we do some things? And so this is the argument we're having. We no longer have a discussion where property rights matter, freedom matters, any of these things. And what's truly horrible about this is that those who advocate most, again, outside of the ANCAPs and some very, very fringe portions of the libertarians, those who advocate most for free markets and freedom argue for socialism. They have no interest in hearing that it's socialism. Their primary method of answering this is to laugh at you. And if you think that's not true, go find whoever the most right-wing person in your family is and tell them that whatever their favorite social program is socialism, and that it was advocated for by socialists, probably anywhere between 20 and 80 years before it was enacted. And the first thing they'll tell you is, that's not socialism. This idea has gone from elites who were punished in elections for having done this sort of thing down to everyone agrees. The culture is gone. There is no more idea that people should be able to own what they have acquired. Everything is some sort of bourgeoisie proletariat fight. Again, go look at all of your classical liberals, and oh dear God, you're centrists. Again, I'm sure I'm going to piss people off with that, but dear centrists, what is it that you're arguing for? Well, it's really an argument between the right and the left. Well, the right are the Fabian Socialists of 100 years ago. The left are the radical socialists. The only discussion we're having is socialism, and the only real question we're asking is, how much? Thank you for watching. There will probably be one more of these. I'll see you then.